This man succeeded in selling an airport that doesn't exist to a Brazilian bank for the sum of $242 million. Yes, a whooping 242 million US dollars. Now, this story has it all. To some people, it is funny. To some, it is weird and bizarre. To many, it is just so very mysterious. This man's name is Emmanuel Nwude, a Nigerian man who was then the director of Union Bank. And then after his role as Union Bank's director, he joined a group that specialized in defrauding people of their hard-earned money. And you know how these schemes work. They specialize in sending out emails, messages to random companies and whatnot. So he happened, as at 1995, to impersonate the then governor of CBN in the name of Paul Oguma. One of these mails found its way to the desk of the director of a bank in Brazil. That bank existed in Sao Paulo, and the name of the bank is Banco Noroeste. Now, the details of this mail was what started this entire fiasco. And this was the offer, that the Nigerian government wanted investors to come and buy an airport in Abuja. And those investors would come in, buy off this, put in money and make lots and loads of profit. And they are willing to give the director $10 million if this deal happens to come or work out through him. Now, the director of this Brazilian bank is Mr. Nelson Sagakushi. And when he went through this mail, he became excited and like, my goodness, this is it. This is what will make me wealthy. This is the deal that will change my life. And he got interested and quickly contacted, according to the mail, it was supposed to be the governor of CBN, but unknowing to him, it was Mr. Emmanuel Nwude. Mr. Nelson Sakakushi now decided, look, it's better I fix a physical meeting between me and these people who claim to be from the Nigerian government. Let us discuss the details of this business before anything is done. So a physical meeting was fixed between him and Mr. Emmanuel Nwude, who was impersonating the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, reportedly, they met at a neutral ground and the conversation started. Business details was established. And trust Mr. Emmanuel Nwude, he had knowledge of the banking system, of the financial world, and he had very good negotiation skills. And he was able to convince Mr. Nelson Sakakushi that the entire deal was legit. Now, a reasonable person, a person who has rose to the ranks of director of a Brazilian bank, should have done proper investigation to actually find out if this Mr. Emmanuel Nwude is who he claims to be. You do not take word of mouth, but for whatever reason, he did not do any further investigation. And after the meeting, a transaction was made, transfers were made, and the money was sent to Mr. Emmanuel Nwude. After the transfer was made, Mr. Sagakushi went back to his, location, and Mr. Emmanuel Nwude and his entourage went back to their location. Now, weeks passed by, months passed by, and Mr. Sagakushi was not able to get in contact with these people he just transferred money to. And that was when it dawned on him that, my goodness, he has just been scammed. Now, it is a shameful thing for him, and it's something that could land him in jail. And he decided not to go to the police. He decided not to tell the higher rank or hierarchy of the bank. But what he did next is utterly shocking. Mr. Sagakushi decided to keep quiet about this entire issue. 242 million US dollars. He decided not to tell a single soul, and he kept it on the wraps. He swept it under the carpet. But of course, things like this are not designed by nature to remain a secret for too long. An amount of money like this cannot be swept under the carpet for too long. Now, there is a certain company who wanted to purchase this Brazilian bank, and a meeting was set, talks and conversations ensued. Now, it was in the process of this sale negotiation that the Brazilian bank decided, okay, let's do some auditing. Let's do some check and balancing. Let's see the assets that we have, the liabilities that we have, the physical cash that we have at hand. And it was that moment, in that moment, that they realized that, look, an amount of money of this grade, of this magnitude, is actually missing. And who did they come to ask? Mr. Nelson Sagakushi. Mr. Sagakushi was now arrested, and that was when he revealed the whole detail about this deal that went really bad. An investigation started. The Nigerian government were involved, and it was now that a hunt for Mr. Emmanuel and his group, began. Now, Mr. Emmanuel was caught, apprehended, alongside some of his group members. I'm saying some because allegedly one member of the group reportedly passed away. The sincerity and honesty of this information is something I cannot confirm till date. So a trial began and several investigations were still ongoing. Now, Mr. Emmanuel Nwude and his gang members or his group members were in denial. They were like, no, we didn't do this and all of that. And they were trying to find other means to boycott the entire trial process, not to get prosecuted. But then an offer was made to one of his gang members, his group members, and they gave him a deal. And that deal was that he was going to pay back some of the money that he had taken, and they would only give him 2.5-year jail sentence. And he took that offer. And the heat became now obviously too much for Mr. Emmanuel Nwude. And during this entire thing, this entire period, there were allegedly lots of reports of things that were done to disrupt the trial, from reports of Mr. Emmanuel Nwude trying to bribe court officials to even allegedly trying to attack the court during or before court proceedings. He allegedly did everything in his power to ensure that this court proceeding, this trial against him, does not hold. Now, in 2005, Mr. Emmanuel Nwude was still playing his tricks and his gimmicks, and he was bent on insisting that he is not guilty of the said crime. But then something happened. Mr. Sagakushi testified in court, and that testimony was what broke Mr. Emmanuel Nwude, and he was like, it's finished, it's over, and he pleaded guilty. He was handed a 25-year jail sentence after that, and his properties were confiscated. But that is not all. There is still a twist to this story. In 2006, exactly 1 year later, this man was released. For whatever reason, I do not know. Why is he being released? Is he on probation? It beats me. This is beyond my imagination. But then he was released and he filed a lawsuit. And this lawsuit claims that he wants to recover his seized properties because all of those properties, all of those assets were bought, were made when he didn't commit the crime. That those assets were there even before the crime was committed. And that was his plea in court. And he was actually able to recover assets worth over $52 million. Absolutely unbelievable. How does a thing like this happen? Now, in 2021, he has now come out to say, look, this crime I know nothing about. I never committed it. I don't know how the money got into my account, that he was set up, and that, he was coerced and pressured to give in a plea, guilty plea in court. Unbelievable. As you're watching this video right now, Mr. Emmanuel Nwude is currently a free man, and he walks the streets without paying for the crimes he committed. And I'm sure it's not just Mr. Sagakushi or the Brazilian bank that have been victim of his crimes. I'm sure other people have been at the receiving end as well. I don't know what to say. What do you think about this story? Do you think justice was served or denied? And please, like and share this video and follow us on other social media platforms. Thank you.